Yes, I know. I saw your act in the theater. You're really quite good.
What's good, everybody? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Excuse me. What's good, everybody? Just wanted to jump on, obviously, on a call with you guys, go over some markets, answer any questions that you guys may have, and really see what you guys have for me for today. I see people in the chat already. Cameron Lewis, what's good? Good morning. And my man Nova, what's good, Nova? Yeah, what's good, everybody? I just wanted to give it a couple seconds, let everybody else join on. I know it takes a little bit for people to, be able to jump onto this session. So I want to make sure that I'm jumping on and or not, we're all together at the same time. So that way nobody's missing anything for the most part and really be able to have everybody get all the value from today's session. So again, good morning. Excuse me, I kind of like lost my voice a little bit, so if I sound crazy, I apologize in advance. But yeah, I'm just going to give it a couple seconds, let everybody else join on real quick. We do have some people on, so we'll get started here in a bit, and then I'll go from there. Let me just go ahead and make sure that we're set here. Okay, perfect. All right, so there we go. All right, so I was actually taking a look at Bitcoin. Excuse me, damn, I can't believe I lost my voice. My bad, everybody. But yeah, I was taking a quick look at Bitcoin, and I do want to go over this before I answer any questions, before we actually look at any of the charts, because I think it's important on what's happening with it, because we could identify the next potential long-term sell that might be setting up here. So I do want to take a look at this in case anybody's interested in obviously investing or does invest into crypto, wants to understand it a little bit more, and then I'll kind of go over that for you guys. So definitely want to make sure that everybody understands this, because this is actually really important. I think if we were able to get the timing, the understanding of Bitcoin a little bit more, as like in the sense of where's the best investment ideas, anybody will be able to invest in this and make a lot of money, whether it's $50, whether it's $100, doesn't even matter. I think that at the right time, if this does push down lower, a lot of us can see a transition of wealth that's pretty heavy. So I want to make sure that we can identify some of those areas, give you the reasoning on why I think that's going to happen. So that way, if it does in fact in the future happen, you guys are ready to invest and know exactly where that'll be. Damn, can't believe I lost my voice. What's good? All right, so how does the Forex market react during beginning and ending of months or quarters? They work the same. I mean, now there are times during the year where they just work differently in the sense of lack of volatility. During the summertime, there is a sense of having higher volatility. Reason being is because we're trading money. So when you have the trading of money, the spending of money, the surplus of money is very much evident. People are traveling, people are spending more money during the summer because of the weather, obviously. So there is more volatility, the strength and the weakness of or the fighting of the pairs happen more. So I would say during that time, the volatility may pick up. But as far as like end of months, beginning of months, I think the only thing that would matter is the first week of the month because of NFP, but that's only dealing with the US dollar. Every other market's free game to trade. So I really don't pay attention to the first month or the ending or the quarterly. Just understand that obviously you're going to be looking at the first week of the US dollar because of NFP. You also have FOMC. Those are probably like the only two things that would really dictate that a market could or something, a cause of a news event or something with like a geopolitical factor that could take into account for a market, like that'll have so much of a impact on it, would just be those news releases. But yeah, as far as like beginning a month or ending a month and quarterly, I really don't see much difference between that. The only real big difference we see, if you want to talk about like end of month or quarterly, is during the holidays like Christmas, New Year's. But that's because banks are closed. It has nothing to do with like beginning of anything. It's just because of the holidays. Everything's closed during that time. So that would be the biggest factor. But yeah, don't worry about like the invisible shit. You know what I mean? So like, that was a professional answer. I'm gonna give you my right now answer. Don't overcomplicate with like these crazy fucking, like I remember one time somebody had told me that the moon, if we had a full moon, the dollar's, stronger when we have a half, like things like that. I'm like, pump the brakes a little bit. Don't focus on things like that, because what ends up happening is you're going to start focusing on things that aren't even there. You're going to be like, well, the beginning of the month it's supposed to be bullish and the market just continues to be bearish, right? So just focus on what the market leaves behind, the clues, such as technical standpoints that you're always going to try to identify. But yeah, don't really worry about things like that. Focus on what the market, what you can see, what you can actually identify. Good question. It is a great question. I'm not going to lie, but yeah, don't try to focus on things like that, because that doesn't necessarily have such a strong impact on anyone's trading. I would think that's actually, to be honest, that's the first time I've ever been asked that. That's the first time it's ever been brought up to me, and I've traded every single trading day that you could have for the past some odd years at this point. And I've never taken that into consideration, never affected my trading, never made me profitable or not profitable. Everything I do is based off of the clues that the market leaves behind, and I've never had to worry about that. It's never had an impact on my trading whatsoever. So yeah, great question, I will admit, but just be very focus on understanding what you can see on the charts. I noticed at the end of the month, the market consolidate banks balancing them blocks. I'm not too sure what you mean by that. I noticed at the end of the month, the markets consolidate. Well, it's not going to be based off of the end or the beginning of the month. That's never going to be the case. You're not just going to say, well, it's even right now, it's the 31st, right? And how long has this been consolidating? Since the 18th. So pretty much almost in the middle of the month, not even at the end, this has been consolidating since then. And in the beginning of the month, where's March 1st? I'm trying to find the 1st of March. So in March 1st, it was extremely volatile. No consolidation, no weakness. This was very much trending in a strong fashion. So you really can't dictate to say, well, in the beginning and the end of the month you always want to see what the market is giving you. We only have so many days within the month to even trade in a sense. So of course you're going to get times of consolidation, and it might just randomly be in the beginning of the month or at the end of the month. We only have so much time. So you're going to, again, March 1st, right over here, where is it? Literally the beginning of the strong move to the downside. And then in the middle of the month somewhat, we had a strong move. So it's always just the market's volatility, not based off of the beginning or the end of the month. It's based off of, excuse me, it's based off any fundamental factors, such as, again, news, NFP, FOMC, BOJ, speeches, or obviously what was it that, I forgot what news event that had happened, but it wasn't listed in any site. But there are other things that happen behind closed doors that does take into effect the volatility within the market. So yeah, again, I don't think it's the beginning or end of the month. It's always just dependent on the clues that the market leaves behind. But yeah, I have NFP PTSD. What's crazy too is if you guys think NFP is good now, I actually remember when I first started trading, NFP was the thing. It was the best thing to trade. But because the volatility was so crazy at that time too. During NFP, you would see such strong moves, but now I don't see those moves happening as often. There has been some recent times where NFP has, in fact, given us some really strong, some opportunities. But yeah, I think it's more along the lines of just it's not as volatile as it used to be. But yeah, I've lost a few, I've won a lot, and I've also lost a lot too. But NFP or any news release for that matter, I'm never really trading. I'm just trading off of technicals, and during news events, I'm not placing any trades with that actual market, right? So NFP is going to affect the US dollar. I'm not trading the US dollar during that time because obviously that's a very high risk maneuver and you kind of want to stay away from that. But yeah, excuse me. I know I just keep clearing my throat. I lost my voice. I'm still, I don't know if I'm still sick, if I'm getting off of being sick. So I apologize in advance, guys. My bad. But yeah, real quick, I do want to go over Bitcoin because, again, I do think that there's going to be some strong ideas here. We're going to be able to identify some, maybe what's going to happen is the new sell, a potential crash, if you will. Now, that's very, early or kind of bold for me to say, if you will. But I mean, for the most part, I've been calling the sell since these highs, since we had that head and shoulders, since we had the respect of the neckline. We can clearly see a lot of the technical standpoints that led up to the right now sell. I know we have a strong push to the upside. It looks very bullish, but if we get rid of everything, and I know I explained this before, but now it's developing into that idea that I had previously. Did I hear my thing go off? I heard my auto trader go off, I think. My auto trader is just going off like crazy now. I'm testing some things in the background. So what I'm looking at is obviously the market is pushing much lower. We can see that Bitcoin from these previous highs, if I'm correct, this was last year. 2021, Feels like that was yesterday. That's crazy. So again, we can see from these highs, these previous highs, the highest point that Bitcoin has ever been at has never really rebounded from that point. And we can see that it's continued to push down much lower. It's definitely my thing going off. My bad, everybody. So what I'm seeing is from those highs to these current lows, we haven't really rebounded. We haven't seen any strong bullish moves. I know a lot of you guys are probably like, but what about the move right now from here to here? That's not really a strong bullish move, right? It did give us the idea of a inverted head and shoulders pattern, which I do believe can still kind of work for us, but we have to really identify what happens when it retests the neckline here. So I'm going to mark this up as a level of structure. And what I'm doing right now is just giving you a strong idea of Bitcoin, right? Because again, if we understand what's going to happen now, this is going to save a lot of heartache, even for myself, because there was a time where I was investing into Bitcoin and I was losing a lot of money because it was just devaluing so much because of the area that I had bought into. So I want to make sure that I mitigate that and I'm identifying the best areas for investment, whether it's going to be the strongest buy or even if I wanted to go and day trade it and look for continued sells. Now, even with this market giving us a strong, the inverted head and shoulders pattern, we haven't had the retest of the neckline, and that's important, right? We haven't came back down to test that structure and identify if this does in fact want to continue to be bullish. We need that. That's important. Without it, it's not going to give us the strongest idea for continued buys. Yes, it does seem as if it's going to give us a strong idea now, right? Because we have such a strong bullish engulfing candle breaking the necessary neckline, but we want to make sure that we're confirming this idea by identifying potential re-entries, or at least the idea, because if you don't day trade this, you can very much just wait for this price to be met, go into any Coinbase wallet, go into any crypto wallet rather, and be able to invest into this and be able to have your money stay increase over time. If we don't get that, which I don't think will be the case, we're just going to see something like this. Damn, this thing is going off. I can hear it. So if we don't get that, if we get a break below, I do believe this is just going to continue to crash down much lower. Reason being is if we look left, we are coming back to a very significant structure point. Now, I didn't think it was going to be hit exactly through the wicks. I thought we might push up a little bit more. But what you can see here is we're really respecting what used to be previous structure. I'll replay this, that way you can see it. Right? So what I'm looking at is what used to be a strong level of support. So strong level of support. So that strong level of support is it should give us the idea for continued buys, which I did in fact think would be the case, but we didn't get that. We can see once I press play, we can see a strong break below. There we go. So that break is showing us and confirming that sellers are still very much in the market. We've broken a strong level of market structure, right? Lower lows, lower highs, and I'm just going to get rid of the replay now because we can see the break below. We're now coming back to finally retest that area. That's the important part, right? Because we're going to get one of two things. We're going to get either and I'll zoom into it, everybody can see it. We're either going to get a respect of this level, and it's going to come retest this point. I'm about to turn off my auto trade. That shit's going crazy. So retest of structure, right? And then we can get a continued buy above, which I don't necessarily think will be the case, right? I do think that this retest of this structure point would outweigh the potential buys and bring in the new sell to the downside. So the reason why I'm looking at this is because, again, I really want to make sure that if anybody's looking to invest into any form of crypto, because Bitcoin being like the biggest correlating one, if Bitcoin's moving up, the others are as well. Not always the case, but you can almost expect that for the most part. But we're getting at this level of significant structure. And the one thing about cryptos are they respect price so well because everything really revolves around price in crypto. Nobody ever says, I mean, I'm speaking on it because everything, my approach to trading will always be price structure or price action structure based trading. But the most part, everybody's just speaking about the price in cryptos, right? Because that's the most relevant part. And it respects these areas so perfectly that the clues that are left behind are almost hard to ignore. So what I'm looking at is, let me get rid of this. and I'm going to get rid of a few things. Because I've explained this to you guys a bunch of times, so if this is your first time on a call, I'm going to express this again. Candlesticks are extremely important, and the biggest thing I'm always trying to identify, excuse me, are wicks equal rejection. So that idea of wicks equaling rejection at a strong level of structure is important. And again, I'm on the weekly time frame, so this is a stronger or higher probability idea, or meaning that the structure we're looking at is very strong and should be considered very highly in your analysis. When I scale down to smaller time frames, we're starting to get more detail. As weird as this looks, this is in fact considered a double top on the daily time frame. So we have another strong selling idea. Now you see how I'm drawing up and marking up Bitcoin the same way I would do a Forex pair. Nothing different. And even on the daily, you can see the bearish variance, the wicks above at this level of structure showing you the current rejection. And even when we scale down to smaller time frames, I think it was more on the 1 hour. I'm pretty sure you guys can kind of see it, but on the 1 hour, you can see a little bit more. The head and shoulders pattern that has just developed. Right? These are early indications, or breaking everything down. You see, I'm not marking anything up. I'm just identifying what's the actions happening at this level of price. Price action. We're at the most significant level of resistance, and the actions that are happening there are weekly, daily, 4 hour, and even 1 hour candlestick rejections. And now we're also seeing market patterns such as this head and shoulders pattern, and also these lower highs and lower lows being created. Lower highs, and now we have lower lows, right? So I'm just identifying the idea that right now it does seem as if Bitcoin and the majority of all cryptos will start crashing sometime soon, because we've already came to the most relevant price point. We're starting to see that rejection, and if it's already starting to sell off pretty, I wouldn't say heavily, but it's already selling off the moment we reach that point. Usually at a level of price, it kind of just makes its decision. It stays consolidated there. It'll show you more development. But here we can kind of see it's just like, nah, it's more of an immediate kind of rejection. So I would think that the majority of all cryptos, Bitcoin obviously being the main one since we're speaking about it, will continue to sell heavily. Now, I'm going to identify where I think those areas will be. Don't call me crazy, because a lot of people thought the sells weren't going to happen. They called me crazy, right before all these sells, and it happened. Not saying like I predict this perfectly. It's just I'm using the clues that the market leaves behind, and it so happens to actually work. So, and I say that because Bitcoin's a very weird, it's a weird world. Like it's like its own individual, I feel. So right now, I would be looking roughly around this area or this price point, because that was a very significant price point before. Again, with any form of crypto you're looking at, it's going to react or respect price almost, I wouldn't say perfectly, but you're going to pretty much identify these areas all the time. Or the actions that happen within the market, the big moves, you're always going to identify them and see them at these price points. I mean, for the most part, that's how it works on anything. But Bitcoin more so than others, because I do see people who don't use any form of price action, just indicators, because even indicators are revolving around previous or history and price. So everything's pretty important with that. Let me see real quick. Can we look at gold and GU next? Yes, I got you. But yeah, so I'm looking at Bitcoin to push down much lower. If not there, I'll be looking at the area even down here. Now, if you guys are like, that's fucking crazy, this is going to be a big ass zone. So I'm going to draw like that. Reason being is because that was the beginning of pretty much the biggest moves that happened. We can see a strong move here, and then as soon as those highs were taken out, we had such a strong push back up, and it came right back to retest the breakout zone. So I would even want to identify these price points to invest into crypto, which means we got a long time. Obviously, I'll let you guys know when that is, but that's just to get us started for today's session, and also show you guys, if anybody is interested in cryptos or was confused on what to be doing with it, don't go into, or don't put money into your crypto wallets as of yet. I don't think it'll, give you an ROI as like right now. I think if we let the market push down much lower, give us some time to really give us better entry points or investment areas, that'll be our best bet. But again, that's just to start us off with, just to give you guys some information, some knowledge, and some value before we really get into the session. Now I start to see a lot of people joining on, and some more questions as well. Please pick up gold for next analysis. So what's your question on gold? What is everyone's questions on gold? What is it that you're trying to identify? So don't just give me a chart, tell me the reasoning behind it, and then I'll give you an answer, because I want to make sure I'm staying relevant. I want to make sure I'm speaking on something that you're actually going to learn. Because the one thing I fucking hate is when somebody's like, gold, buy, sell? We buy now, we sell now? Like, I swear to God. I'm like, yo, that's not how it's done. You know what I mean? So what's your question with gold? That's the biggest thing, because I think the one thing I think we always get kind of confused on are the steps of trading. The steps is not immediately trying to identify an entry, whether it's a buy or sell, or like when you're learning, your first step is not where do I enter? It's all steps, right? So the reason why I'm saying that is because if you just want to look at gold and you have no idea fucking why, you should start asking that question, why? Because is there a trade there? Are you trying to identify the market's trend? Are you trying to use a tool or don't know how to use it, so you need help using it on the specific market? Things like that, right? That's really important, because once the whole thing you're trying to do with trading is break down a market. You're trying to tell the future. So if you can understand that factor, everything makes a little bit more sense. Will it be bullish or bearish? What did I say? The one thing I fucking hate. Will it be bullish or bearish? I don't know. That's not a good question to ask, just being honest. Only because if you look at the chart, you can really tell yourself. You just gotta fucking look. And that's not to sound disrespectful. This is me being as real as possible, because the psychological aspect within trading, I know, is the biggest part. It's such a hurdle to get over. We always want to know whether it's buying or selling, but if you actually look, if you actually pay attention and take a look at it, you'll be able to answer your own question. If you don't know, right, if you are looking at a chart and you don't know what it's doing, you can't mark it up, your question should not be up or down, buy, sell. Because the one thing you're going to do is just, it's buying now. You're going to place an entry, and that's not where you're entering from. The entry may be a little bit lower. Maybe the entry is even a little bit higher, right? It really depends on your trade style. But you have to be more specific in that approach, only because, and I'm telling you for the individual, because if you only ask that question, you're never going to learn Forex, you're never going to be profitable, and you're going to be wasting your time for how many ever years of not being successful. As fucked up as that is to say, that's the truth. Right? You actually have to learn. You want to make sure you're identifying relevant points within the market, so that way you can progress. That is my, like, the unprofessional answer, I guess, the New York answer. But that's me. That's just me being honest, right? I will break it down. I will give you information on it, but that's just for future reference. Again, just make sure that you are actually looking, because you'll be able to answer all your questions if you just, like, a real simple look. Now, I want you to do me one quick favor. What's my man's name? My man, India. Currently in profit on gold. I want to get a different perspective on the exit. What are you doing? Buying or selling? What is your entry price? What is your stop loss? Give me more information. I can be more detailed. I might turn off my auto trade in the background. I put, not for us, now for me, only because I want to test something, I put it to like super aggressive mode, and I can hear it being super aggressive. So, my bad. I know you guys hear that in the background. So, if I'm correct, my man Nova, you probably in a sell? I'm not too sure. I have no idea. I'm assuming you're probably in a sell. I think a lot of people would be looking at that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this down in the very bare bone, easy manner, where when you jump onto a chart, this is exactly what you do. And I'm not going to be as detailed, right? I'm just going to show, in this case, I'm just going to identify how easy it is to see what a market is doing without having to do too much work. So right now I'm on the higher time frame. I hear that shit going crazy. My bad, everybody. So let me actually see, which one is it? I got so many down there, I don't even know. I think it's this one. This one. I'm not even gonna fuck with it now. I don't even care anymore. I don't even know what that message even is. All right, so I was going to try to get rid of it so you don't hear the noise in the background, but I have no idea what. I thought it was like taking trades. I have no idea what that even is. Now it finally closed. Perfect. So what I'm looking at is, okay, I'm on the higher time frame, right? Because being on the higher time frame is the biggest thing you should do, or the most important thing you should do. Identify whether it's bullish, bearish. That's all you have to do. Now, here's a good thing to buys. Okay, you're in a buy, stop loss at recent. Okay, got you. So the one thing we always have to understand is higher time frame confluence, because that's going to give us the better idea, right? So what are you doing to what are you identifying on the higher time frames? One of two things, or if you have it all, I mean, you could do everything, right? Are you bullish or bearish? Now, how do you indicate? What indicator do you use to identify whether a market is bullish or bearish? You don't use an indicator. You fucking look. That's it. You look at it. You could literally see whether it's bullish or bearish. If I'm on the weekly time frame and I'm saying, is this market bullish or bearish? And if I say, well, at this price, it started pushing up to here. Bam. Question answered. It is a bullish market. You don't need a fancy indicator. You don't need to say buy, sell. What is it doing? Look at it. You can clearly see that it is bullish. So what does that mean? You're probably looking for high probable buy opportunities, right? You don't need to go and try to identify 1,000,001 things to tell yourself whether a market is bullish or bearish. You can clearly see from these lows to these highs, right? I'm only focused on this right now, that this has been buying. So you answered your question. Is gold buy, sell? It's buy. You know what I mean? It's a buy. It is a buying market. It is a bullish market. You can clearly see that. It is creating higher highs and higher lows. Not so much you can't really see it on the weekly. I mean, you can't see some highs and lows, but you'll see more if we scale down to the daily, higher highs, higher lows. You'll see more in the 4-hour, higher highs, higher lows, right? But you can clearly indicate and say that it is very much a bullish opportunity. So we also need to say, because this is what I said, like you might have everything together in the sense that, yes, we are in a bullish market, but what we also have to understand is, are we at a level of significant structure that can put a pause on those buys? And we can see that we are, in fact, at a significant level of resistance. Very simple. Strong level of resistance. Let me do that. Do that. Boop, boop. Strong level of resistance. Nothing complicated. So what does that mean? After we have a strong buy, this level of resistance could start the ideas that buyers are exhausted and sellers might start coming in. So if you're in buys, I know you said your price was at 1976. So you bought here. That's a little. I mean, if you're in profits, I don't understand the reasoning. If you're, are you just basing it off of that? I mean, you're correct right now, but you also want to be careful because, I mean, the candle right here is telling you the direction, right? That cannot be ignored. I know that you have, this is an impulsive move. This is its correction. It's already coming back to retest its like structure point. You know what I mean? So we are at that strong level of resistance. When we scale down to smaller time frames, we're starting to see a different idea. Does that not look like a head and shoulders pattern? This being the left shoulder, it is valid because the wick only broke above. The bodies could not even break above the previous highs. So that is in fact a valid head and shoulders pattern. And you also have the development of the right shoulder here. And that right shoulder has now met the price of previous structure. So I would be very careful with those buys, right? And that's it. Like, that's a very easy, simple breakdown. We saw that we were in a bullish market. We entered a strong resistance zone. We scaled down to a smaller time frame to see if there's any other indications that could prove that point even further. We scaled down to the 4-hour. We can see a head and shoulders pattern reaching a significant level of now current resistance. If we look at the current price where it's at now, it is in fact creating a even further barrier here, right? You can see the rejection of your candles, the wicks to the upside, giving you the strong indication that buyers don't have the strength of breaking above. you have an indecision. I mean, you have a bunch, but this being the biggest indecision candle that should just like scream at your face like this probably isn't the best area to buy, right? That's probably not the best idea to look for buys on gold right now, right? Because what you're getting is a lot of bearish signals, a lot of bearish indications. When I scale down to the 1 hour, that bearish engulfing candle that has respected a level of now created structure is important. What I am going to do now is I'm going to see, now being on the smaller time frame, if we can add more detailed work, and we can. So you now have a break of a trend line, this being the breakout candle. So that being the breakout candle. Now we can see the retest. I'm going to get rid of this structure. We're going to put it right here. I'm going to cheat a bit because we can see where the current price is, right? If the market was like this, right, I would not have cheated. I would have left my structure exactly like this. But I would not have placed an entry on anything yet. But what I would be doing is, as soon as it gets to that point, I'm going to be like, oh shit, okay, now it's time for me to start paying attention. Now it's time for me to start looking because there could be a potential idea here. Now, once I start being patient and I allow it to develop, I'm like, okay, now I'm starting to see the rejection. I'm starting to see that the candles here, as you can see, this looked bullish. That didn't look bullish. That definitely didn't look bullish. That's not even bullish. We're starting to see the rejection developing around that area. Now, I'm just going to cheat because we can see where the rejection is starting. We're going to highlight that price because that is our zone or price points that rejection or the sells start to seem that it's occurring from. And we can add one more factor on this because it is no longer, excuse me, it is no longer in that small consolidated range. It is now created a low point. That is an impulse. This is now a correction in the market, so we can use a Fibonacci retracement tool. We go from swing highs to swing lows, and we're going to add confluence. And is there confluence there? Absolutely. Now we have the 61.8 Fibonacci retracement ratio right within that area. That is a strong setup for sells. So if you're in buys, I'd be very careful. Makes sense. Probably looking for sells. Again, the biggest reason is because that higher time frame confluence. We go back onto that weekly. We are at a strong PRZ, potential reversal zone. The market could potentially reverse from that zone. Very self-explanatory. So you're at a strong level of resistance. Buyers are probably going to be exhausted at that point after already buying for so long and pretty strong at that too, right? It didn't really have much of a break when it started buying, especially during this time right here. Didn't really have any selling pressure at all. Now it's going to say, you know what? We've made it. We're home. We can relax. Let's take a break. Let's take a breather. And that's when that sell potential reversal or even just a correction could happen. So I would be a little careful on those buys. Partials already secured, but I left the runner to capitalize on the whole move. I hope that it has the whole move. I hope you catch the whole move. I got no skin in the game on gold right now, but I was actually looking at some potential sells because of that structure level. And now that I just broke it down into even further detail, this is why I do the sessions with you guys. Like, I don't necessarily like jumping onto the calls with me having a strong idea for that morning, because I'm usually after the morning, I'm on the fucking charts all day, leading into the night, you know what I mean? And then right before, or like in the morning, I don't look at the charts. I don't see how it developed overnight. I kind of want to see how I do, or to do it live with you guys to get the stronger idea. So now that I've even marked it up in detail, yeah, that looks like a strong sell range in my opinion. But yeah, there's no opportunity. There's no entries on this. So for my man buy sell, yeah, there's no buy sell on this just yet. But if you want me to give you my opinion, I do think that this will eventually end up selling. And we are within a sell range, or a sell kill zone that I like to call it. So that's a strong idea for potential sells. Now, just because I'm saying that doesn't mean that it's going to immediately sell. I know even yesterday I was even looking at this area, if I'm correct, for I forgot what my analysis was. That's why I hate deleting my analysis. But I was even looking at this area. If it started forming some rejection, we're going to see sells, and you can clearly see it started buying rather. So my analysis is not 100% by no means, but I'm only using the clues that the market can leave behind. So yeah. Oh, and I forgot about this too. This is what I was looking at previously before. I was even speaking on this yesterday. This is why I actually have this line here. I completely forgot why. I don't even know how I forgot about that. So not even just this line here, but when we look to the left, we have a double top that's finally being respected. Double top. This being the middle piece of that double top, right? The break of structure. As soon as it broke, we never really had a test of that level until now. Or previously, not now, not current price, but you can see here we finally had that respect. So that's even a stronger indication that sellers might really be gaining that strong needed volatility or volume rather, or strength to push this market much lower. So if you are looking for buys, be very careful. I would think that this might sell a little bit more. If you are in, I'll show you what my excuse me. I'll show you what my trade setup would look like if I did in fact trade this. Obviously there is no entries on this, so please nobody place any entries on this. By no means, there is nothing yet. But I would say that'll be my first target range. Oh, because when I trade, the only thing I add, to be really honest, is a stop loss. To me, that's the most important part of your trading, is your risk management. I don't necessarily put a take profit, because when I'm trading, as you see, I'm trying to catch an entire move, a pretty big move at that, and that takes time, that takes patience, and I understand that. So what I'll usually do, since I have the ability to do so, thankfully, I'll be able to monitor and watch my trades for the most part, whether I'm at home or obviously on my phone as well. Thank God MetaTrader 5 and 4 is back on Google Play Store and App Store and all that shit, because I was mad. I updated my phone, I got a new, and I couldn't get MetaTrader 4. I was so pissed. But yeah, now you can track all your trades. So I don't necessarily add a take profit. I'll identify where the market usually, or where I think it will go. So this will be targets 1, and a very self-explanatory reason on why that will be targets 1. That was previous structure. We can see that this was resistance, and you can see even now it started this correction. It started that buy that I'm pretty sure my man's Nova got into from that initial range, or that idea, the retest. You can see the market showing a little bit of exhaustion to the downside, and it did offer up that correction. So that would be targets 1, because if that's support previously, that could be support again. It could be something like that, and then you have a push back up, and that's not what we want. So the next level of structure, or next target rather, would be here. It's a weird little range, but I'd look at something like that as targets 2. Targets 2. And then I'm pretty sure everybody sees it, targets 3, because these are the ultimate lows, and if you can catch that entire move, why not? Targets 3. Now, if everybody's like, but do I enter 3 trades and take profits at each? No. Again, I would just say once you reach this area, identify, see what the markets give you. If it starts looking like it's rejecting from there, you don't feel comfortable holding, you think it's going to push up higher, you can go ahead and take profits. If it just breaks through, if it breaks that structure, you're like, oh shit, fuck that. I already know, target's 2. And you get to target 2, you start seeing consolidation, but you don't see this, you're good, right? You don't get that break above that previous structure. Even if it does this, it respects it, you still hold until that point. So yeah, that'll be my idea with gold. I think it's a buy sell. No, I'm just joking. I think that over time it's going to turn into a sell or hit these lows, something like this, right? So yeah, and you're already starting to see that it is building up that bearish momentum. This candle, what time is it? 8:18. So yeah, even with this candle, being 8:18, not new candle, but we're already starting to see within this kind of newly formed candle that we are getting that bearish rejection at that price point. We have our fib confluence, the break of the trend line confluence. If I don't know if anybody would do this. I personally would not. I don't even really think you can finesse this. Yeah, you can't even finesse this to try to make this, retest the trend line here. That would be cheating. And it wouldn't even be connected. It wouldn't even be a valid trend line. So no retest of the actual trend line, but we do have a break of it. Look at that, strong sells. I mean, you can't make that up. So yeah, if you're looking at anything for gold, you're probably looking for sells. So yeah, let me see what you guys got in the chat. Nothing so far. All right, so I know you said Gbpjpy, so we'll take a look at that. Look at that. You know what I mean? That shit can't make that up. I might, if we can see something like this, because I wasn't trying to just immediately place an entry. So when I'm looking at, and areas where I'm looking to enter from, I'm not immediately just jumping into a trade. I always want to make sure that it develops a little bit more, shows me that yes, in fact, it does want to continue to sell. So what I would be doing is I would allow this to actually do this. If it can't come back up to this point, I'll then look for an entry there, because we are getting the indications of sells already forming. So I would say if it can't come back up, because it'll probably consolidate, it'll probably just range here for a little bit to build up the needed momentum to then sell off. That'll be our next best thing. So we are getting the needed rejection. Let's see if we can now get a strong entry if it reaches back up to that point. Because for me personally, I don't want to place a trade on something that's like, I don't want to sell when some shit's already selling, right? Meaning that I don't want to go ahead and place my sell there and then my stop loss, let's say here, and then it starts doing this, exactly that, right? It starts doing this, starts playing around, it comes back up to that point. Now you're in drawdown. For individuals, especially for new traders, if they see drawdown, they're like, oh shit, you know what I mean? They might cancel, and then it could have ended up being a positive trade. So I always want to make sure that my risk reward or my discipline within trading stays intact. I would allow the market to reach back up to these highs before I look for any entries. So that would be my trade setup. My stop loss would not be that close. My stop loss would be right up there, 50 pips. So that would be what the trade would look like. So do not enter anything as of yet, because it's already made a low, or not a low, but it's already kind of giving you a sell. You don't want to enter on a low point. Let's see if it can give us something like this. Come right back up. We enter to the downside. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that helps. If it did not, I apologize. For my mans who asked if it was a buy or a sell, or up or down, whatever it was. Hopefully that kind of gives you some information. I do think that overall, right now, we'll be looking at gold for potential sells, which goes into Gbpjpy, because if we think gold's going to sell, that should mean that Gbpjpy should probably sell as well. Why? Because they're correlated. Again, like I've said it before, I've said it a million times, the idea when gold is pushing down, that means the dollar is gaining value. So if we look at GU, that should mean that GU should be selling, Gbpjpy. So let's go ahead and GU real quick. Oh, yeah, I completely forgot. I have a minor markup on this. Minor. There's your idea on GU. I'm on the daily time frame. You can see the level of structure currently being respected. What do you think is going to happen? That's your analysis on GU. Not even joking. Not even fucking with you. I think a lot of individuals, when they see trading, they think this shit. And this is my strategy, so you're probably like, that looks crazy. Everybody's like, every time I show somebody this, is like, what is that, hieroglyphics? You know what I mean? They're like, that looks like rocket science. And I promise you it's not, but that's not what trading is. You can keep it very simple, right? What can we see with Gbpjpy? A very simple concept. Well, for one, just in case anybody's wondering, the immediate market, meaning what is going on right now, is very much bullish. The overall market is very much within a range. Why is that important? Because everybody should know what you should be doing in a ranging market, right? So overall, yes, bullish, or immediate, meaning from these lows to these highs, that move, that's a bullish move. But overall, we are in a ranging market. Very simple concept, right? So if I can see that I'm at the range highs or resistance, what can that tell me? Not even resistance. We're going to even make it easier. PRZ, potential reversal zone. What does that mean? Exactly what it stands for. It could potentially reverse from this zone. This is why I always express you must use the higher time frames, so that way you can understand the overall move, or what's going to happen, or what is happening, right? Because sometimes we're looking at it like, oh shit, it's already started. The move's already been making its its rounds. So what can we see? Just a very simple concept. We are at a PRZ, strong level of resistance. We can start seeing on the daily candle, our current candle right now, that we are starting to see some rejection from that range. Nothing hard about that. And the reason why that's important is because it sold from here before. And the higher the time frame, the stronger that confluence is, the stronger that structure is, meaning that it might just hold for your potential sell ideas, right? Now, when we scale down to a smaller time frame, what can you see? You can't even make this up. Candlestick patterns. I'm actually going to go ahead. I'm going to make a cheat sheet that we can just have here, so that way I can just show you guys. That candle one, and overall, if we're looking at everything in total, we have all three of these candles are important. That is what you would consider a evening star candlestick pattern, or an evening star candlestick reversal pattern, which is a bearish indication, right? Showing you that sellers are now taking over, that resistance point is being respected. Now, when we scale down to a smaller time frame, if I get rid of everything, make this a little bit more easier to see, can you see the rejection? Can you see, not even just the rejection, can you see the candles rather? Bearish engulfing. I'm just pointing out a few. Bearish engulfing. Not only just a bearish engulfing, we have a break of structure. Not only do we have a break of structure, we have a respect of said structure. Not only do we have a respect of said structure, or how do we know it's respecting that price point? The one thing we always look at, candles, wicks equal rejection. Small body candles equal exhaustion, right? Wicks are rejection, the bodies equal exhaustion. So what we can see is you're looking at GBP USD sells. Simply put, you can add your fibs. You go from swing high here to swing low here. Can't make it up, 61.8. And you're looking at sells on GBP USD. There's your analysis, right? It's not hard. That is your full breakdown on GU. You see how quick that was? If I didn't even put it in detail, this is exactly what it would look like if I did not explain anything. If I just marked this up and I was trying to show you, if I was just doing this on my own, I'm like, okay, boom, structure. Obviously, haven't broken above. We're starting to see rejection. If I go down to the 4 hour, is there anything else I can see? Don't necessarily need to mark anything up here. I'm starting to already see the rejection from that point. If I scale down to the 2 hour, even further, can I add trend lines for future reference? If you wanted to do something like that, yeah. Is that giving me any analysis for right now? No. So that's why I'm not paying attention to any of that or marking that up further. I would only go to where I can start adding detail, see what's actually happening, and I can see that happening here, right? Even in this sense, on a smaller aspect, no, you can't even add that. Sometimes the market will give you some forms of technical analysis. Sometimes it'll only give you structure. Sometimes it'll give you structure and fibs with no trend lines. But the one thing you always, or the things you'll always have, candlesticks, structure, and price. If you can identify those, and your fibs in this case as well. If you can have those, you'll be able to identify entries. So yeah, you're looking at strong sells. Even right now, I might go ahead and sell it myself. I might go play some entries on GU. My entries will look something like that. So yeah, very simple concept. GU sells. Now, I have not placed entries on this yet, everybody. So please don't nobody go place any entries on this as of yet. But this is what everything would look like. If we can go, let me actually just draw it up in the sense of an entry. So we can see it came up to that 61.8. We can see it respected that structure. In this case, excuse me. In this case, since we are looking for potential sells, let's see if we can connect some dots. So we'll add that trend line, even though it's not valid yet, because there is no third touch. We only have a base and a secondary. So let's say it does something like this, pushes lower, and then we come back to that trend line, then it can be valid. But we'll add that trend line for now. So what I would be looking at is something like this. My stop loss would go right above these highs. So just about 40 pips. As you can see, my first take profit would be roughly around this area, just because, as you can see, that structure, that support, excuse me, that support could hold again. And if it does, it could equal buys or eat up at profit. So you can exit there, or if that's broken, you're just looking at the next structural low. Nothing complicated. We can even go as far back as there. So yeah, GU sells. Identify what the market leaves behind, like all the clues, and it has to start from the higher time frame. If you're only using the smaller time frame, you're only using the 5 minute, the 15 minute, you're doing yourself a disservice. Because I think what ends up happening is, like, okay, so even right now, this is a perfect example of why we break things down in the manner that we do, based off a higher time frame concept. now that I'm looking at this in every aspect, because I only saw it as a sell based off of the analysis and the clues that were left behind. But we can see this in different aspects as well, right? We can even say that, okay, well, we can say that GU is very much in a bullish market, right? So even though we're in a bullish market, since we're in a bullish market, we should be looking for buy opportunities. This would be a nice buy opportunity right here, right? A break of that structure, a retest of that structure, and that could have offered up a nice little move. But overall, if you're only using these smaller time frames, 30, 15, you're like, oh shit, okay, bang, it's in a bullish market. I'm already, identifying the re-entries to the buys, and you don't look at that higher time frame confluence, that weekly, that daily, to see that, oh shit, I'm buying at a high point, right? I'm buying at which you never want to do. You never want to buy at a high. You want to buy at the next structure, or the next low rather. So if you can't identify that, and you start saying, well, it's in a bullish market, I'm going to hold my buys, and you hold it like that, not noticing based off a higher time frame that you're actually in a strong sell zone, you're going to lose a lot more trades than win. So that's why I always express the importance of identifying higher time frame movements as well. But yeah, let me see what else you guys got as well. You love GBP? Yeah, I mean, most pound pairs, all pound pairs, man, them things move. GJ as well. GJ being one of the main ones, or one of my main favorite markets to trade rather. GJ, any yen pair for that matter, you're going to get a lot of volatility. But GJ, secretly, low key, GBP NZD is another market I like to trade. One of the main reasons being is because it's not always a trending market, even when other pound pairs trade. And my personal favorite market to trade is a ranging market. I'm always going to revert back to what worked for me since day one. When I first learned how to trade, or was learning, I can't even say learned at that point. I perfected the ranging market. It's so fucking easy. You sell from the high, you buy from the lows, and you might lose a trade, because you might sell from that resistance high after the third or fourth time, and then it's broken. You might lose that one trade. So I will go like 5-1, 6-1, 6-2. But ranging markets are my favorite, and GBP NZD usually there are some times where you can see it doesn't really range that much. But for the most part, it gives you a nice range, and even with those small ranges, it offers up big pips. Right, it gives a lot of money. So GBP NZD low key, if you want to use this as a market to trade, as far as a pound pair is concerned, definitely check out that one. That's a really good one. GBP only markets I'm trading. Well, crypto too. Nice. All right. Yeah, they're highly volatile. So it makes sense. It definitely does. Let me go back to gold real quick. See what we got on this. This is exactly why we stay patient. Again, no entries have been made on this. And I just want to see how this initially reacts around this area. We could still get a retest of the trend line as well, which would be the better idea. That's something I would really like to see. Yeah, look at that. This is exactly why I always say, and I express the idea of patience, letting your market develop. Don't just jump into a trade because it looks good. You got to make sure it is in fact a good market, or a good setup rather as well. So nothing on gold as of yet. Let me go back to GU. Oh. It looked like we had a perfect buy entry on that too, but we definitely don't. Yeah, the only reason for that buy to be happening, or that move, is that potential, or that not even potential, that retest of that structure point there. So I do want to see what initially happens. But if we do break above these highs, obviously being the higher time frame structure, then there is no fucking sells on that. You know what I mean? This will continue to be such a buy leading into God knows how long. Because as you see, this resistance, these high points have been respected for quite some time now, since last year, December. So not quite some time. It's been a bit, but a few months. But as you can see, if it's respected, strong sells. But if that's broken to the upside, yeah, we'll change our bias and kind of look for some more, for some buys. But I do see those potential sells still occurring here. We just got to wait for that to develop more. Thank you. I don't trade that one. Yeah, no worries, man. GBP/NZD that we were looking at before is a really good market to trade as well. Let me go ahead and see some other pairs real quick. So what other questions do you guys have? What other markets would you guys like to take a look at as well? Feel free to let me know. Euro USD. I was looking at it, just structure again. I'm not. The one question I always get is, Jay, why do you not have so much in your chart? Like, you only have a few lines, or you don't have shit for the most part. It's either because I'm waiting for a market to develop because there's nothing there to mark up. There's nothing of importance, because all I'm focused on is, okay, well, I can see that the market is either buying or selling in a trend. So I'm looking for a re-entry. And if I don't see where a market's even offering up a re-entry, or there's no correction, there's no break of strike, there's no nothing in my, my discipline, I'm not going to go ahead and start marking up things that aren't there. If I can start seeing things, I'm like, oh shit, okay, well, right now in Euro USD, that was looking like a pretty bullish market. But now what we can see is we're at a level of structure. It created, again, just so that way you guys can see what I can see, or why I'm looking at it in that manner, is when this market was a strong buy, or buying rather, for some reason, once it got there, it sold off heavily. You need to pay attention to that, because if it reaches that point again, sells can happen again, right? Because for whatever reason, sells started occurring there, right? I mean, if we look left, we can kind of see why. Again, everything is always going to revolve around a significant price point. So we had strong sells from there. Why is that important? Because if we continue to let this move, let me go ahead and speed this up a bit, you can see it came right back to that point, and it is now giving us a double top and a potential rejection. Price, action. Identify the most relevant level of price and the actions that proceed within there. What are some of the actions? Right now, I can see that we were looking at a strong sell point, strong sell area. I can see that we are creating a double top. With the candles, we're already starting to see some rejection. When I scale down to a smaller time frame, I can already start to see it creating lower points. You can see it broke. Let me get rid of this. I'll leave this up here so there's no confusion. We can already see it's broken its previous market structure. So, I mean, even with EU, I know we had a strong spike up with EU right now and a strong spike up with GU, which is perfectly fine. I still see these as sells, and even EU right now might offer up a potential sell entry here. So if you guys want to mark this up the way that I have it, feel free to do so. And if you're wondering why my fib is from here, actually, let me measure this to make sure that I'm actually right on this. Swing high, swing low. Okay, yeah, so it did hit 38.2. So anytime you're trading and you're using a fib, you can't have some shit where it's like, it looks like that, and then you measure that whole thing, right? Or actually, let me see just real quick. Okay, because I think I even just confused myself with that, because it is a really confusing concept when you're using your fib. I actually just learned this like a few years ago, like 3 years ago. So what I see is a lot of individuals always ask me, why did I measure from here to here instead of from here to here? Because at one point this did have a sell, a impulse, and this candle here is its correction. It reached up. If I go and use a fib, let me actually scale down to a smaller time frame. If I use a fib from these highs to the actual correction, it reached the 38.2, and that's the bare minimum to consider something an actual correction. So I can't go and measure two moves with one fib. I have to now identify the move as an individual. So where did that impulse start from? The impulse, or the new impulse, started from these highs to these lows. So we're going to go from this wick high to that wick low. And again, you can't make it up. So we're right at that 61.8. We're respecting the level of structure currently, because obviously this could still break above. This candle has not closed yet. So yeah, I mean, even EU, GU, those look like some sells are setting up. Let me go back to GU real quick. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, I mean, even though we did have that strong push to the upside, I mean, it's still very much respecting that price point, or respecting market structure rather. Oh, didn't mean that. Let me see what you guys have in the chat real quick. All right, seems like everybody's Gucci. So yeah, any other questions, any other markets you guys want to take a look at, feel free to let me know. If not, we'll conclude for today. I actually do got to run off, get some things done. It's Friday, so this is the weekend's like the only time. Friday and Saturday, the only time where I could really get shit done for myself. So I get things done real early. I'm an early worm, you know what I mean? So early bird rather. I ain't the damn worm. What the fuck? I'm the early bird. But yeah, I try to get things done as early as possible. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. I definitely got you. If not, we'll conclude for today. Again, I just want to make sure that I'm on these sessions, really helping out anybody who needs it, really answering any and all questions that you guys may have, helping you all become a lot more profitable and a lot more knowledgeable when trading Forex. But yeah, if you guys have anything, feel free to let me know. If not, we'll conclude for today. I want to see if there's anything that could just be of topic. I'm reading the same thing again. AUD NZD. Oh, that was something I was looking at. I think I actually did place a trade on this, like as a personal trade. And again, just price, structure, nothing complicated, nothing confusing. Oh, you know what? I just realized this was supposed to be the color of my zones. I don't know how it went back to blue. Let me change that. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking at anything or to leave you guys with something, I was actually looking at AUD NZD for potential buys. As you can see, it's just roughly right, or not even roughly, it is right at that structure point, and we're starting to see some bullish movement from there. So this will probably be the only other market that I will look at for today, as far as profiting from, is AUD NZD, which is another good market too. It's another little sleeper market in case anybody never traded this. All right, but yeah, seems like everybody's Gucci. So what we'll do is we'll conclude for today. We'll catch back on first thing Monday morning. It is the weekend, or Friday rather. So if everybody is still willing to jump on a session on Monday after the weekend, I definitely got you guys. I'll be on, I'll be trading, I'll be identifying some things. Again, really trying to help and assist you guys to the best of my abilities. But yeah, with that being said, we'll conclude for today. We'll catch back on first thing Monday morning. If there's any questions that you guys have during the week, feel free to let me know. Hit me up, go into our Discord. If you're not a part of the Discord, go ahead, grab the link in the description below. You guys are more than welcome to join our community, ask questions, really learn from us as well, and really go from there. And I want to be able to add, because I'm actually going to be adding some more value to legacy students. So I want to make sure that when I'm adding more value to them, I want to make sure that everybody else is getting value as well. Something just so that way you guys are kind of like, right there with us. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that even if you're following the community, if you're on these sessions, and if you're learning, you're still getting some profits, you're getting some more value as well. So with me dropping some more value for legacy students here in a few days, I want to make sure that you guys are going to be able to reap some benefits as well. So make sure that you're part of the communities to stay updated with that. But yeah, looks like everybody's Gucci. We'll conclude for today. We'll catch back on first thing Monday morning. I appreciate every last one of you guys. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up at any point, and I definitely got you guys. But yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate you all. Thank you.